Yo, what is up, guys? Joker bringing you another video for the 3.27 Keepers of the Flame League with another Currency 101. I want to make at least one of these videos every league. That way it can help newer players out. Essentially, if you're unaware how this works, is it's more of a teaching process rather than a direct currency making method, right? I'd rather teach a man how to fish than just give them the fish. So this is going to have like an intro, and then it's going to have passive income, and then it's going to have me explaining my strategy, me liquidating it, and then a bunch of tools that you can use to price check stuff. So hopefully I can stay on that format. I've tried a couple times, I keep fucking it up, so this may have some awkward jump cuts, but hopefully you do find it helpful and educational. So first and foremost, passive income. Love it or hate it, King's March is now part of the game, and it is one of the best ways to get passive income from spare maps, right? Maps that you weren't planning on running anyway, or you just had a vast excess of. Having map runners running is going to bring you an extra several div a day. Not joking. I usually get anywhere from 2 to 3 divs from my map runners every day, and that is usually on the low side. You've seen people get mirrors from the map runners, you've seen people get headhunters, mage bloods, apothecaries, right? Personally, I've gotten a headhunter and a Hinakora's lock from I've gotten a headhunter and a Hinakora's lock from map runners, so I always do recommend running them. The other passive income is shipping. There is a lot of strategies for shipping. You can follow whichever one you want. What I do is every 2 days I send all of the crops to Nakanu because tattoos are worth a lot, and they usually bring me back about a divine or two, right? I recently just sent one. That's why we don't have very many crops left. So you can do the 17 mil strategy. You can do the stacked deck strategy. You can do the 50 mil strategy. Like, there's a whole bunch of different strategies that you can look up and try. But the key point is make sure you are doing at least one of them. Moving on to our current farming strategy, what we're currently doing is farming 8 modded maps and juicing essentially the pack size. Because they did nerf ground loot, we are just trying to get as many monsters in a map as possible. That way we have more pulls at the slot machine, right? And this league, because they moved around the Atlas and got rid of the breach nodes, we now have a really easy way of forcing beyond onto our maps as well. So we have a 8 modded map. We have an influencing scarab of the elder, because this adds elder portals that spawn elder mobs, as well as I believe it adds elder packs, because it just seems to add a lot of mobs, right? Then we have the scarab of monstrous lineage for 40% pack size, cartography scarab of corruption, and cartography scarab of escalation. These two are the only scarabs that you really can't change. Let's say you want to change the strategy, you can change these 3, you just can't change these, because this is how we're farming and sustaining 8 modded maps. And then we have the influencing scarab of the hordes, and then we're taking domination on the map device. In our atlas, it looks like this. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking 100% beyond, and then we're just taking scarab nodes and altar nodes with map explicit effect, searing exarch nodes, and the chance for the originator maps to drop, right? That's essentially it. There's nothing really special about this atlas. We're just trying to get as many mobs in the map as possible, so that's why we're taking things like the searing exarch with all of its pack size increases, the map explicit increases, and then the shrines and beyond for even more mobs, right? Drawn to power makes it so there's a bunch of extra magic packs, and in this tide means we're constantly spawning beyond creatures. Now, from that, we are taking shaping the mountains, shaping the skies, and shaping the world in conjunction with singular focus. Now, the reason why you are taking this is these kind of counteract each other. Singular focus makes it so that you are going to drop less maps overall, but they are only going to be your favorite maps. Shaping the world, shaping the sky, and shaping the mountain are going to help you drop maps, more maps overall. In case you're unaware, how the map drop system in PoE works is it works on an equity system. When you kill a mob, it has a chance to, or it does give you some equity towards a map drop. Once that map drops to the current tier that is eligible to drop, it will go ahead and queue it up. And then at that point, once it shows there's an eligible map, it is going to roll to see if it is a T16.5 or a T17. My understanding is that is like literally the first thing that happens in the process, right? So essentially what these are doing is these are helping build equity faster, so we drop more 16s overall and in return drop more T17s. That's why in conjunction with singular focus, they are kind of contradicting each other, because this is making us drop less and this is making us drop more, but it does balance out to a point where you still do massively over sustain as long as you have enough of your favorite slots available. If you feel like you're not sustaining, you can unspec singular focus, but singular focus, in my belief and experience, does cause you to get a lot more divine drops, right? Raw divine drops. So if we take a look at my pilfering ring, we have 30 raw divines, and if we take a look at my kills, we have 2300, I'm sorry, 2.3, almost 2.4 mil kills. If you remember the other day when I showed my pilfering ring, it said 11 divines and 1.1 mil kills. So in 1.2 million kills, I over doubled the amount of raw divines that dropped. On top of it, if you look at things like the amount of chaos, I'm pretty sure that was significantly lower, right? So just a bunch of additional raw currency. And that's what our proactive farming strategy is. What are we farming for? We are farming for 8 modded maps that are T16, T16.5, and T17. And on top of that, we are also getting a bunch of the currencies, as well as we are getting a bunch of scarabs. On top of that, we are also farming for the fortunate, because we have it scried onto our jungle valley, and one of the maps is dunes that we're running, so we're running dunes and jungle valley. Two of those maps can drop the fortunate, so it's like just an additional reward on top of the current farming strategy. As you can see, it has multiple tiers, right? We are farming multiple things. We're farming 8 modded maps primarily because everyone that drops is 5C, but we are also getting just a whole bunch of additional currency and bubblegum as well. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and start the liquidation process. The first thing that you're going to do is put your stash pretty close to Faustus, because we need to do a little bit of bug abuse. You step back, you click the stash, and control click Faustus, and this allows you to open the currency exchange alongside your stash. Huge for quality of life. It allows you to just control click items into here. That way you can go ahead and sell them easily. For the examples that we're showing, we're just going to use primal crystallized life force, because I looked at a couple items and it's the easiest for me to manipulate, right? Like right now, it's going to be the easiest for me to showcase how the currency exchange works. So we have the I have, the I want, and the current market ratio. What the I have is the item you have, obviously. The I want, same thing, what you want for the item, and then the current market ratio. The third thing to keep in mind is when you hit place order, this would create a sell order, because you are selling primal crystallized life force for C. If you flip this around, you are buying primalized crystallized life force for C, which would make this a buy order. There is going to be a difference in these prices because people merge. That's every item, that's every market in the world, right? You essentially try to buy lower and sell higher. Everyone in the world does that in like every market in the world. So that's exactly how the currency exchange works as well. Under the market ratio, it's going to show you a couple things: the current market ratio and the stock. The stock isn't one person's trade. It can sometimes be one person, but majority of the time, it's just the amount of that item for that price. If you hold control while hovering over market ratio, you see the available trades and the competing trades. Essentially, what this is doing is showing you the difference between buy orders and sell orders. Since you're setting up a sell order, that's why it says competing trades. Those are the people that also have sell orders. You're competing with them. And then the available trades are current buy orders on the market. People are trying to buy for this value. That's why they're available. If there is no availability for something more obscure, let's say horn scarabs for really? Okay, let's do Scrolls of Wisdom for Volorb. Can people stop ruining my example? Okay, this works. If there is no current trades, it will go ahead and say, hey, there's no available trades for those items. And the reason why is there has to be a buyer for every seller and a seller for every buyer, right? Essentially what that means, for a trade to be completed, you have to have both parties. And that's why it's an exchange. So let's go back to chaos and the example of our primalized life force. What the current market ratio autofills for is the current buy orders, right? The current lowest buy order. So essentially it tries to find you the best deal for what you currently have. Let's say I have 1,000 of this life force. If we go ahead and take a look up here, you'll see, okay, no one's really buying, so it bumps me all the way to 71.43 for one, right? The reason why this auto fills is this is a person's buy order. They're saying, okay, I'll buy that from you, but not at this rate, at this rate. And you definitely can do that, but majority of the time people will have these trades set up for the best value for them. So let's do a little bit of market manipulation here. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's say 67, just to make it the easiest and the most obvious, right? We want to sell 670 primal life force for 10C. When you create a trade, a couple of things will appear. You get to see the total of value of your trade, the actively traded value, and what you want. I'm sorry, I flip-flopped those. So this one over here is the current market trade, and this one is your ratio. And if we go up here, you can see at 1 to 67, the amount of life force is, well, now gone, but it was decreasing as my order was filling, and that's because people were willing to buy at my price. That's why we effectively changed the market ratio, because that was the last traded price is what we set it to. That's why I was saying it's easier for me to manipulate, right? Now, let's flip it around. Let's say we have 10C and we want primal life force. If we go ahead and we take a look here, other competing trades, people are trying to buy for 68 to 1, right? We just saw that. So if we intervene and put a couple of trades to 67 for 1, we're going to instantly fill. because at that point we become the best trade offer, right? Let's say if we do like 685, right? Just to show you how we'll appear on the board, we'll appear right between the 68 and the 68.8, and it'll show you the current market trade, what you're requesting, and the total value of the trade. You look up here, give it a second for it to update, and you can see that we have 10 chaos, right? The right value, and we're trying to buy 68.5 primalized life force for 1C, and that's how we're listed there in case you had any questions about this. So yes, some of these numbers are crazy and they do act like pseudo floors, right? Like with the stock of a million chaos sitting at 64.67 means that the ratio for the primalized life force will never really get much better than that 65 to 1, right? It'll never really go to like 63 or 62 unless all of that stock is bought. So it's counting as a wall against you. And once again, you can see the 68.5 is still there. And that's essentially the basics of the buy and sell orders on the currency exchange. I hope that made sense. Let's do one more real quick, just to show you guys one more time. So let's cancel this order real quick and take our 10C back out. So we have 685 primal life force, and we want a better than average market value. People are currently trying to buy at 67 to 1, right? 67.2 to 1, 66, 65. So if we just say 670 to 10, we become the best value on the market and we instantly fill. Flip side, if we want to buy, we can do the same thing because we just have to put where our money where the stock is, right? So if we want to buy 670 for 10, that beats out the current market ratio. So the next order to fill will be our trade. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I also want to make sure it's understandable. I hope you guys are able to understand that, but that's essentially what you can do on the currency exchange for any item. Moving on from that, let's go over third-party tools and websites that you can use. So first and foremost, even though I just mentioned not really encouraging people to use it, we have TFT. And this is the Forbidden Trove Discord. As you can see, there's an insane amount of people registered with it that currently use it. And it's pretty much because anything that we don't have a service for or an ease of access way of trading or doing, TFT kind of fills that gap, right? They do everything from like mirror service, which is very controversial because they've had, multiple RMT allegations, but they also have things like boss carries, leveling carries, right? Gold hosting services, bulk buying and selling of items, selling specific gear, stuff like that, right? So the TFT Discord, it is something that a large amount of people begrudgingly use just because we don't have a better way, right? So once we get a better way, it may fade out a little bit, but as of right now, it is still the best thing for what it does. Apart from that, another great tool is Wealthy Exile. This is going to be able to evaluate your stash tabs for you, and people have mixed feelings on this tool because they say it overvalues a lot of items. My fix for that is essentially just setting the price threshold to a decent number, right? Like as this example, we have 15C, because if we set the price threshold down to 1C and we refresh it, we gained 7 div somehow out of 1C, like items that like this, right? Items that potentially might not sell. So by setting the minimum threshold to 15C, what it does is it essentially it guarantees that whatever it's going to show or calculate into the price, I have at least 15C worth of that item. And at that point, if I have 15C worth of something, then chances are I'm probably going to sell that at some point, right? So that's how I kind of get away around like the inflation of wealthy exile. Now, up next, we have PoE Ninja. You probably heard it, you probably seen it. It's great for what it does. It essentially price checks the everything for you, right? Apart from rare items, if the item exists in the game, you'll be able to find a price for it on PoE Ninja. Usually, I'm not so sure about the Foulborn. Oh no, yeah, they're all totally here, but I don't know how this would work because they have the special modifiers on them. So I don't know how trustworthy those prices would be, but you'd at least get a rough estimate, right? Apart from that, builds is the other thing. This goes ahead and it tracks a bunch of people currently in the league. Well, I guess in every game mode, right? You have keepers, ruthless, hardcore, SSF, HC, SSF, and this is going to track essentially the best performing players, right? Because it goes based off of like level. I think it might also go off damage. I don't know how it pulls the accounts, but essentially what you're going to be using for it for is build diversity, right? Let's say that you are playing a Deadeye Wander and you want to see what items and what gear you're supposed to be looking at or going for, right? You go ahead and you would go here, you would click your class, the skill you're using, and then sort by DPS. Unless they fixed this can still be artificially inflated to give like ridiculous numbers. Sometimes there'll be cheese on characters, but from what I can see on this guy, I mean, he has the mage blood. I don't think this guy's fubbing his numbers. Yeah, so essentially what this will do is go ahead and give you like recommendation essentially almost of what kind of gear you should aspire towards. It shows you all their gear as well as their skill tree, so it makes it kind of easy for you to figure out what you're supposed to be aiming slash going towards. Like, okay, I'm a Deadeye Imp stacker, like what kind of mods do I want on my gear, and what jewels, what's the passive tree look like, what are their links, stuff like that. Then and then yeah, you just go over a few people. If you're trying to profit craft, this is also a super easy way of seeing what people in that ascendancy are using and how you would craft those items, right? So Wealthy Exile, PoE Ninja, great tools. Up next, we have PoE Re, and what this does for you is it goes ahead and it helps you make a rejects. What's your rejects? Well, this is going to be what you use for a number of things. Let's say you did a bunch of expedition and you're going through what's her face's shop, right, to try to pull the uniques. You can create a rejects that will look for the most valuable items and go ahead and highlight them for you. More notably, map mods, right? This is going to go ahead and make a list of modifiers that I do not want on my maps. So what I do with the assistance of Awaken Trade is you press Shift and Space, and there's a map rolling tab here. This allows you to put a rejects in here, and when you click it, it auto puts it in here, allowing you to find maps that meet the criteria for your, like as you can see, this jungle valley and this jungle valley, this has modifiers I don't want to run, so I would sell this. This one has modifiers that I can slash do want to run, so I would go ahead and put that just into the rucksack on the side. And you can use this for so many things, as you can see: scarabs, jewels, bestiary, flask, heist, expedition, map names, fucking items, map mods, vendors. If you're running through the campaign, help you find links easy, or colors. Make sure items have specific modifiers. Overall, if you're crafting or rolling your maps, you want to go ahead and use a rejects, just because it helps the process so much, right? And the last thing is another price checking source, and that is going to be PoE Watch. This essentially does the same exact thing as PoE Ninja. It's just another way to view it. I don't know if they have anything that PoE Ninja doesn't, but I wanted to go ahead and add it in here as well, because if anything, in the dark mode layout, right, in my opinion, it might be a little bit easier to actually see the prices of items with like the graphs and stuff like that, right? Oh, and I guess they have extra metrics that I don't know. Well, I guess they have extra metrics that, ooh, interesting. Okay, so if you don't care about the market, and they have corruptions. Okay, so if you don't care, this isn't interesting to you. But if you understand and care about the market, I didn't know it had all of this. Holy shit, that's like really cool. It shows you like corruptions that sold. It shows you price history, shows you essentially how many per hour, daily volume, the maximum, the minimum, and how high the confidence is. So essentially, if this said true, that would mean that there's a low confidence in it actually being that price, so like it's being manipulated, right? So that's actually super cool. I'm probably going to play around with this a lot. That gives me a lot more info. But yeah, that's pretty much it, everything that I wanted to cover. I'm pretty sure this video is 20 some minutes long, so if you made it to the end, I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will have timestamps, right? Since I segmented the video, it should be super easy for me to tag those. But yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down in the description. If it helped, I hope it helped. And yeah, like, comment, and subscribe if it did. And until next time, take care.